about life. Welcome to this live stream where we're going to be introducing our guests in a few. This space is all about sharing honest conversations and journeys in regard, like today, migration and integration. And the aim for these conversations is to help someone who is thinking of relocating or has relocated and doesn't know how to navigate the waters of the country they're living in, but also to improve the public systems. How do we make migration easier, smoother, legal? How do we make integration better for people that have been living in Germany, for example, or Europe? And that's why I opened up this space for such conversations. So if you're watching us right now and you're someone who's living in the diaspora and would be open to sharing your story, would be open to letting your experience support someone, but also help us improve systems, I would be very honored to read your DM or your email on info@ruzhoff.com, and of course DM Instagram Ruzhoff. The name Ruzhoff everywhere on social media. Before I introduce our journey, this space also, especially the live streams, is going to be addressing not just how one relocated and integration, but migration and relocation are very broad. So we're talking about people that have come here on, marriage visas, family reunion visas. How do you then navigate marriage? How do you navigate divorce? How do you navigate parenting? It's so broad. And if you're open to something like that, just hit me up. We also have a section that is called Dear Ruzhoff. You can send me questions, you can send me your dilemmas. And this is something that was birthed out of my client experience. Like people come here, for example, maybe someone came on, a family visa, got married to a German man, things do not work out, and they need support. They don't know how to go about it. So I decided to open up this section. You can send your questions anonymously or openly about it if you're comfortable, and then we can, get to advise you, get to give you a way forward. So without further ado, allow me give our guest the space to introduce herself, and let's hit it off. And of course, if you're here right now, share this live stream, like it, and hang around. You're going to learn a few things today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruzhoff. It's my pleasure to, be on your platform, to give me this opportunity to share my story with one or two people out there. My name is Patricia Nakai. I'm based in Germany, in Hessen, Frankfurt, and I'm from Uganda.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so Patricia, like I put on the thumbnail and the promotion post that I did, you are currently in Germany and you have a very interesting story, I find, because you told me you came on, I think you started as an au pair, then you did BS yacht, that is like the volunteer, and right now you're doing Altenpflegerin assistance here in Germany, which is the care assistant for those of you who don't know Germany. And I think that is a very, very interesting journey because so many people try to relocate, using this avenue. So please go right ahead and take us through your migration journey, your relocation journey, how it all started out.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's start it out without wasting time. So I relocated in my whole journey started back from Uganda. Reasons, COVID. I was like, what can a girl like me do in Uganda? Of course, there are less opportunities. As an entrepreneur, I lost there was no business on what I was doing. We opened up a shop with my elder sisters. Things were not working out. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had a friend in Germany who had left after school, after campus, university. So I'm like, how did you make it to get to Germany? So during school, I did leisure and hospitality. By the way, I have a degree in leisure and hospitality management from MOOBS. Yeah, from MOOBS.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, how can I get to Germany? Of course, she didn't give me clear avenues, but she told me there is this program called Au Pair. So I tried to ask her what exactly should I do, the steps and all that. And I was so excited the fact that I did Germany at campus. But the German I had studied at campus was only writing and reading to pass exams, not practical, like speaking, the oral part of it. So that was also an issue. On this journey, I was like, okay, what should I do? I had to start from the beginning. I had to look out for a school in Uganda at
Yeah.
Guti Centrum, that is in Bukoto.
Yeah.
So I had to look out to find out how much that was, which wasn't really, it's a bit costly, but if you're a
Unfortunately.
go-getter, if you're a go-getter, and this is something that I want people out here to understand, that it's something I regretted, but my parents didn't know about. If a child is in a school, it's very important for them to learn languages.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is very important because it gets easier with time. It is easier for them to get to any other country they want to, especially German, French, those two languages, apart from English, because
Yeah.
English is all over. So on that journey, I had to look out for money because it wasn't cheap. I
Yeah.
had to look out for agencies that were doing these au pair programs. I
Yeah.
didn't have any idea. I didn't know anyone because my friend was like, I would only share with you links, but I
Yeah.
don't have any really like a direct connection.
Yeah.
So I had to help myself out. Go to a school, and I was, due to my excitement, I thought I knew German enough. So I was like, let me take on the exam.
Yeah.
So I get to a receptionist. She's like, are you sure? How confident are you? You just want to apply for just no classes, just the exam?
Wow.
Boom. I get to do the exam. I failed by
Oh
59. I got
no.
59, and the percentage, like the pass mark was 60. I'm like, I
Oh
was
no.
desperate. Like I lost it.
I totally get it, especially because, like you said, it costs money. Because I see that a lot with my clients, and it's unfortunate also because you had that in school. So it means that the lessons you get were really, really very basic.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
just learning how to read and write and understand, but you don't learn to speak. You don't learn to listen.
The
What they exactly,
practice.
yeah, the
Yes.
practice. It
So,
really,
if you'll allow me, it's tricky. I don't know how I bring this point over.
mm,
Probably you didn't know this opportunity. For example, someone who is studying German in school in Uganda or any other country, they also
mm,
have an opportunity, for example, to come for on a language visa. You could have had a very easy chance of getting a visa to come to Germany to learn better German.
yeah.
It would have been also a possible way for anyone watching right now, because I know, like most Kenyan schools, people are learning German in school. That could be one way of going about it.
And
Yeah,
I
go
also
ahead.
feel like Kenya is a bit advanced when it comes
Yes.
to languages compared to us back home in Uganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also that's something that, our country needs to look into.
Yeah.
So going forward, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to look at my failure. I'm going to, push and see. God willingly, I had someone who was willing to support me. So as far as I could get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, since I'm the last born back home, none of my parents were into this. I did it all by myself because they didn't want me to leave home.
I know. I totally
So,
can relate. Yeah.
so I struggled out, was successful to get a tutor still back home. They really, like, one of my teachers at campus was also teaching like this school, in teaching in this school. So I got
Yeah.
the opportunity to get tutored and revise and all that. So I was able to the second exam I took, I
Yeah.
was able to, pass highly, and I was so excited because some people took on classes. Classes can go up to maybe 1.5
Yes,
back
that's what I
home.
was going to ask you. I was going to ask,
Yeah.
did you take
Mm.
on classes or you just did tutoring? Because I've had some
I
clients.
just used I just used my knowledge from
Yes.
campus, from university, and
Yes.
tutor. And I was tutored
Yeah.
and then used some of the YouTube channels to,
Yeah.
to educate myself. That's how I was able to navigate and do the second exam.
That's a very smart way of doing it. And I like to tell people, of course, because the financial factor is something we cannot ignore. It is very possible to learn on your own, especially now with social media. There are channels, I also offer those channels that teach the language. And then when it comes to practice, unfortunately, you didn't have the guidance. You could have started already, like watching. We now have Netflix, we have Amazon movies. You could have
Exactly.
watched things in German language. It would have helped with the practice. But of course, I'm just saying this for the people watching, and you're wondering, how do I go about it? Because unfortunately, finances are one of the biggest hindering factors. So that is also a possibility. Yeah.
So after that, I had to look out for how do I get inside like the whole system of au
Yeah.
pair? How am I getting to German now that I've passed my exam? And
Yeah.
not so good. I actually that exam was an A1, and
Yes.
to make issues worse, I was aging because there is an age limit for au pair to come to
Yes.
Germany. So
25
that was
years.
also stressing me out.
Oh,
I have an age limit that I am turning. There is
yeah.
a hindrance. I've failed. So that was it was such a
Tricky.
situation that I don't want to think of anymore. But going forward, I had to figure it out with my
Yeah.
agency. I used like I can say him out here. He's
Yeah.
called Cranes, Dr. Cranes, Uwe Cranes, helped me to figure it out.
Yeah, so the
So
agency, I would
mm,
like to clarify, because again, that's also a big problem. People
mm,
who contact me for consultations always like, do you have an agent to bring me to German? The agency he's talking about is a totally different thing. It's not
yeah,
an agent saying paying someone to bring you to Germany. That is an au pair agent. That, for example, in Germany, you can't come as an au pair like people go to the Middle East, through agents that will recruit you. You pay them a certain amount of money and you go there, but it's regulated through Arbeitsagentur. There are regulations here, there are laws governing it. So the agent she went through, that is just a company that helps you get placed with families. Okay?
exactly. Yeah.
So keep that in mind. All the rest of the work you have to do yourself, you have to learn the language. This agency is just an officially authorized company in Germany that is allowed to recruit au pairs. So you basically have to write a CV, you have to write a letter to the families, you have to send in a motivation letter, and so on and so forth. Again, it's not an agent that brings you to Germany. Yes, that is very
Exactly,
important.
because some people also like I've gotten some friends of mine who come on their own. They figure out families. They don't have any, middleman.
Yes, you
Exactly.
get the links. Like I have the legitimate, it's called website, but those are registered companies. In Germany or Europe, you can't just have, you know, get someone placed with an affair family without having registered it. We call it a Gewerbe. So it's a company, right?
Mm,
And
mm.
that's why it's important to ask someone who's conversant with these things and get the appropriate contacts, because people who try to search online, unfortunately, get many people have been scammed, cheated of their money.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I'm
very
like, oh,
true.
yeah, where did you apply? Yeah, I applied here. Now they told me I sent $1,000. I'm like, you don't have to pay anything to upload your CV, to contact families. So it's very important. And like you
Actually, in my
said,
situation, it was
yeah,
too good to be true because I was telling everybody that, you know what, this is what I'm doing.
yeah,
People feared to make signatures for me and to be my referees and all that. They are scamming you and all that.
yeah.
But I was so naive to a point that I needed to leave home. Not in a bad way.
Yeah, but I applaud you, because listening to your story, you notice I'm smiling quite a lot. And especially coming from Uganda, people in Uganda are not so proactive when it comes to these things. Because the clients I get sometimes, because I don't have the time to
They
like
want
support
you to do everything for them.
everything. So I find myself actually rejecting so many people and also telling them the honest truth. If you're going to come to Germany or anywhere in Europe with that mentality, you're never going to make it. So better you stay in Uganda. And like you said, it's very possible to make, actually, you should do everything yourself, because our laws do not support actually anyone doing the things for you. The maximum you can get is support, like I offer, someone taking you through the steps, like the problems you faced. If you had known me, then it would have been maybe less complicated.
Yeah, less
Yes,
complicated.
but otherwise you don't have to pay anyone millions and millions of money to be able to come anywhere to Europe. If someone tells you that just know you're just wasting your money. So I'm very proud
Exactly.
of you. Before we even go on, because that way you explained everything, you were very proactive, and that is something I really wish for my Ugandan people. Because when I compare them to other clients from Kenya, like you notice South Africa, they're very proactive. They need just 2 consultations with me, and the next message I get is thank you so much. I'm now in Bayern. I came, you know. So it's
Yeah.
very, very
It's
important.
different,
Yeah.
and I think it comes all the way with culture. Maybe we used to being done for things or paying people to do
Yeah.
for us things.
Connections and being so
Exactly.
complacent. Yeah. And
Hmm.
these are educated people, but you know, you chat
Yeah.
with someone and you're like, oh, you're going to have it very tough here in Germany.
Sometimes it feels like, you don't want to be disturbed. Like, if I
Yeah.
look for money, then do for me everything, which is a
Yeah,
different
the audacity.
story.
Yeah, sometimes I get those emails. No, just tell me how much. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, but you can't even afford me. If I was to charge officially for those services, you can't afford me. I'm just here to help you guys, but you also have to put in the work. And
The effort.
yeah, and being that I'm in the system, it would be counterproductive to make someone waste their money, sell their land, because that happens too. You know,
Hmm.
parents get loans and then come to Germany. You've been here 10 years, 20 years, you don't have a job. There are such people there because they were not prepared, you know?
Exactly.
So I prefer to support someone where I see they'll benefit from this journey.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
also going to, put effort. So
exactly.
going forward, after the au pair process, the papers, I
Mhm.
actually got someone, still a friend, who had to sign for me because my parents, unfortunately, were like,
To the
no.
last minute, they were not willing.
They didn't want me to leave. I'm
Oh,
telling you, I am someone who had everything on plate. Like, I was
yeah,
literally spoon fed. So me leaving, it was an issue as
scary.
well. But
Yeah, I
they
get
had to
the
be like, you
scary.
know what? She's grown. She's graduated.
Yeah,
It's time for her to make a choice.
yeah,
So I was excited. I got the visa actually, and getting to the visa point still, my dad wanted to figure out a way so that I could get the visa within connections. I told him no. I
typical
am
Uganda.
I was like, no, I am going to do it myself. I am going to
Yes,
do that interview. I have to do it myself.
yes,
And then I was so happy the fact that, that determination you have, and, you get something that you fought for. So after that,
yeah,
I get in contact with my host family. Now the
yes.
problem comes. I've been in modeling. All my pictures look like, I am
I
a
know.
model. And then my agency is like, you know what? You're gonna have a problem to find families. You don't look poor, or you don't have specific way. You're not in villages. All your videos, you're somewhere maybe in Naguru or in
Yeah,
Kampala doing something. So I was like, look, I will find a host family. I don't
yeah.
care. So that was also a problem because people feel like when you're coming from Africa, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be coming from a poor
It should look
place.
like problems, yes, but also to add something on that for anyone watching right now. What actually is also important, of course, I'm not saying it's bad to show model pictures and all, but we are human beings, and human beings have a tendency of having preconceptions, misconceptions, and putting people
Exactly.
in boxes. So if
Yeah.
they are looking at you and they're like, is she even trustworthy? Is she even going to be able to take care of kids? So when you're applying for the au pair visa and you're doing your CV and you're contacting host families, you have to make sure that your pictures are professional, because that is a job like any other job. Okay, your pictures, yes, they were fine if you had been applying for maybe like a social media manager job, you know. So yeah,
Ruzhoff, I'm trying to say that people need to be real. I couldn't
yeah,
go to villages, do an extra journey to go to
yeah,
villages and being mad or have dirty clothes to prove a point. If you've seen these videos out here
yeah.
on YouTube, it has to be you,
No,
you know?
absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Mm.
The misconceptions. But I'm saying if
Yeah.
someone faces such a hurdle, and like I
Yeah.
said, it's important to keep that in mind, because for you that was even your profession. You know,
Mm.
I do have clients like that. But if you're contacting a family, you also have to consider the kind of pictures you're putting. Like I said, who do
Exactly.
they represent you as a person? Because you have to remember,
Mm,
they just look at the pictures, they don't know you. And that's why I
yeah.
say, for example, it's important to have a motivation letter. It's important to write a letter to the host family. I have a video about that. Write, dear
Yeah.
host family, let them
Mm,
know why should they recruit you. Because the problem is you're somewhere far away, they can't invite you to an interview like a normal job where someone can look at you, appraise your skills, and so on. So you have to make sure that your application and your CV kind of represent who you are. Like you said, authenticity.
yeah.
Yes, but this, yeah, looking like the village, that is also a story for another time. But that's
Anyways, going forward,
yeah,
I had to do video calls with
yes,
my host family to see if we could,
ma-
ride along with, or we could understand each other,
yeah.
or if the family liked who I am. Surprisingly, the family was just obsessed with me. There is
Oh,
something, there
that's
is
good.
something that liking and obsession. We shall get there,
Oh, okay. Red flag.
but in the beginning, they
Yeah.
wanted to talk with my relatives. My mom was not up to it. She didn't like the
Really? Oh
family.
my God.
Actually, rest in peace, mom.
Oh,
Yeah, she passed away last year in
oh, so
October.
sorry about that.
Yeah, but a mother doesn't want her child to leave. That's the
I
whole
know.
thing. Yeah. So these people, I had video calls. They talked to my sisters, my nieces. Actually, my motivational later was about me taking care of my nieces and
Yeah.
helping them with all their day-to-day work and all that sort of. The family had one child,
Yeah.
and it all went good. On the day of me traveling, I got COVID. So
On
I
the day
wasn't
you were
able to.
supposed to travel.
Exactly, like a day,
Oh
the
my
next day, a
goodness.
day before, I got COVID.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Oh my.
So me getting COVID, the family was so helpful, and I
Yeah.
thank God for them. It was so helpful. It was like you need to get well first and then you can travel.
Yeah.
They offered to pay for my ticket,
Mm-hmm.
which was a good thing. Not all families do that.
No,
I
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. They were very
exactly.
forthcoming. Yeah.
They were very loving, and at the start, they were very loving, and I
Yeah.
get to Germany
Yeah.
after quarantine and all that stuff. So I happened to get to Germany in 2022 on the 10th of January.
Mm-hmm.
When I get here, I used Hamburg. They had to pick me up from the Hamburg airport. I got to Bremen. That's
Mm-hmm.
where they were staying.
Ah,
They had
okay.
one child, a 5-year-old child, just one at home.
Okay.
And this is the child I had to take care of.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they had bought for me a car. The Patricia that I am,
Not
I
all very
was.
days, but yeah.
Listen, the Patricia that I was in Uganda, I made it clear that I have been driven back home by a
Yeah.
driver. I have just taught myself to go in a driving school, but I haven't driven around Kampala often.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
still didn't listen to me. They were persistent and went ahead to tell me, just get your driving permit and drive. We are going to help you. So they
Whoa.
bought a small car for me,
Yeah.
which I wasn't up to, but I was like, this is a battle. I came in like I need to change my life. So I came in
Yeah.
and they offered to teach me how to drive here and
Yeah.
there. I learned, but I also got a shock of my life because on my second day in German, I was on Autobahn.
That's ridiculous. So, oh my goodness. So
Yes.
they were willing to
My
put your
host
life in
father
danger
was
and their child's life in danger because I've been here for almost 20 years. There's no way someone comes from Uganda and goes on the autobahn the second day. I came with an international driver's license. It took me at least a month to be able to drive here.
So,
Oh my God.
Ruzhoff, so that's the experience I get in my second day in Germany.
Wow.
And
How was
then
it? Give us a picture of your feelings. How did you feel about that?
the fact that when I was leaving, of course, things were fine. I made
Yeah.
it clear to my parents that, you know what, this is what is happening. And
Yeah.
in that period of me traveling,
Yeah.
like my mom had got a health issue that shocked
Oh, okay.
everybody, but I was like, and at one point my elder sisters were like, are you really one of my elder sister was like, are you really leaving us? And I'm like, I'm going,
Oh,
because even when I stay home nothing would change. So
you can't do
imagine,
anything.
I
Yeah.
was so determined.
Wow.
So when I reached here, I was like, nothing is going to shake
It's
me.
going to stop me. Kudos to you.
Nothing, nothing is going to shake me. Nothing they are going to do is going to. So I didn't actually have a bad perception in me.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, let me go, with the
With the
flow.
flow. Yeah.
So I reached here, like the second day I've gotten that experience. My heart was out, I was in shock, but I just have this character in me that, even when I'm mad or in shock or in fear, I keep calm.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so as time went by, I tried to, understand the child. This was a boy. I was dealing with girls, but still I had to adjust. So
Yeah.
in the process, now this is where the language comes in. I
Yeah.
tried to use my A1 language to
Yeah.
communicate to the child. But remember, the parents, I was sometimes communicating with the parents in English.
Okay.
Yeah, so they knew the English and they also wanted their child to learn
That's
English.
what I was going to ask because most people that use au pairs, the main interest is always have someone, who speaks like a second language so their child can also learn the language. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get in Bremen. Bremen was not the kind of environment that I hoped to. Like
Yeah.
I had arrived in German, but I didn't feel like I was in German.
Were you living
That's
in the countryside
I
or?
I think it was a countryside,
Yeah.
someplace next to Bremenhaven, something
Okay.
Bremerhaven,
Bremerhaven.
something like that. Yeah. So that's where I was staying. So people were so onto themselves. They
Yeah.
weren't excited or anything, or hello, or open, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, now what?
I
I
know.
wasn't really home. Like one place was back home,
Yeah.
another one was on, like my mind was all over the place. I
Yeah.
get here, I think in 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks, something happened to the car. And I kept on telling them that, you know what, I am not comfortable driving this car. They
Yeah.
were like, you can do it, you can do it. There were these pushy people and they
Yeah.
couldn't let you breathe. Sometimes when you communicate and people don't listen to you, that's also a
Yeah.
problem,
No problem. Yeah.
because you need to listen to someone.
Yeah.
So there is this one time they left me with a child, and it happened that the child cried. I didn't do anything to the child, but the child just decided to cry the whole day.
Oh my God.
So I was like, what can I do? They're going to think like I just called them and told them, you know what? The child is crying and I don't know what to do with him. They're
Yeah.
like, how come he has never cried? This child can never be, this child can never be a crybaby. Our child is strong. But remember,
Yeah.
this was a couple that had a 5-year-old a little bit late. They were a bit
Yeah.
older. So this child was like a treasure.
Yeah.
So
I get.
I experienced all those problems, all those issues, and I didn't have a family or any
Support
advisor in
system.
Germany.
Yeah.
So my mind was all over the place. I didn't want, because I knew back home there was
Yeah.
an issue. I didn't want to scare them, yet
Yeah.
they didn't want me to leave.
Hey, God. So I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about it, the language. That is a very important aspect. So when you came, when exactly did you start with the language? Because normally it's supposed to go on with the language. And if yes, also let us know the school. Maybe there's someone living in that area that would also like to get that information.
So when I reached Bremen,
Yeah,
the language schools were not so near where I was staying. So I decided to do
yeah,
Goethe in Zentrum, Goethe Institute
yeah.
online.
Okay.
So I started on doing A2,
Yeah.
but online. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
But in the yeah, and that's where I stopped actually. They only paid for me just actually he had like a connection, so that was like a freebie or an angebot.
For
A1.
them it
Yeah.
was more. Yeah, that's a bit
Yeah. So
unfortunate. Yeah.
so I did A2, but still, studying when your mind is not there, but you're studying because you have to. That's an
Yeah.
angebot.
It's
That
difficult.
was what happened to me.
And also being online is not a good thing because actually the law stipulates that preferably you go to in-person classes because you're also supposed to practice, and really supposed to focus on it because actually the au pair visa by our law is based on you learning the German language too. It's a culture exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate because you can't be babysitting, he's crying, you have to cook milk
This
and
is a
whatever.
5-year old.
Yeah. And
He's
then
not
you're
a
learning. Yeah,
baby.
okay. But it's good to hear that and to know that because these are challenges that people don't know about and don't even think about before they apply for these visas. So you get here and you get a culture shock and you get
Yeah.
disappointment. And maybe in
Exactly.
some cases you regret your decision. I'm glad your decision, okay, was the right decision. But there are people who just do make these decisions on a whim and you're like, oh, maybe this wasn't the right thing. So that's why it's important to have all this information.
Yeah, and it all went not so good
Yeah.
because I had to change to a second family.
Oh, that is always, yeah.
After 2 weeks or 1 week and a half, they just packed me up and took me to a place. I had not been to a city in Bremen, and they took me to a place like something like a lodge or like maybe
A
a
cafe.
hostel
Mm-hmm.
or a hostel. And I was there. They had to pay the man for a few days
Mm-hmm.
and they left me there. I don't know
No
if
way.
I'm telling you. And honestly speaking, that's the time I realized that I was just like, maybe God protected me because I got people, even lawyers, that were willing to sue these people and take them to the police. I was like, the last thing I want to do is to deal with the police when I am new. I don't know the rules and regulations and all those things.
Let me write this down. This is something I have to talk about. I have to do a video about because again, your situation is not the first that I've had. I've It's very unfortunate. It happens to maybe 40% out of 100 that come on au pair visa. And I've realized many, actually, if not everyone, they have no knowledge about what to do in such a situation, which can put
Exactly.
your life in danger. We're talking trafficking, we're talking, because everyone is like, oh my God, I got my visa, I don't want to endanger it. But you're protected by the law. You are here legally.
Exactly.
And the family is not allowed, they don't have the right to just throw you away. In under normal circumstances, they're supposed to give you time, to first find another au pair family. There's what we call Kundigungsfrist. You can't just um
They did it, but it didn't even matter at that point. They just signed a funny paper and
wow.
all that and threw me out there. I was like, okay, what's the next part? What am I doing? So out of, friends that I had known through au pair, studied with in Guti
Yeah,
Centrum in Uganda, I
yeah.
had to call them and figure out it our own way. On top of that, I was threatened. They kept on following my number and threatening me and telling me, "You have to tell us where you're going. Where are you going?
Oh my God.
You're gonna have issues with your visa. What are you doing out there?" So in all this, just to come up and make everything brief, I was
Yeah.
like, this was an obsession. they had put me out of the house and
Yeah.
took me somewhere in the, I don't want to call it ghetto, but
Yeah.
there were men, crazy men.
So it
Like,
was
I was
affected.
scared for myself.
Yeah.
It's more like, how Frankfurt maybe Bahnhof is,
Yeah.
or something of that sort. You can't stay there, especially when you're a girl child.
So just briefly, for anyone watching, if you're here or planning to come, in such circumstances, do not fear the police. It's unfortunate such public institutions have a stigma, but they would actually help you. You're protected by the law. They are not going to deport you because your visa is valid. And I'm going to tell you why they were obsessed with you. They were not obsessed with you because they cared, but they knew if something happened to you, they would be in trouble because your visa was tied to them. You came to work for them, so they knew, god forbid, if something really really terrible happens to you, they would be in trouble. So if you're here, if you're going through something like that, do not hesitate to tell the police, or just hit me up and I'll guide you through that. But do not be scared thinking, oh, now I'm going to be deported, or I'm going to lose my
Of course,
visa.
that's the next thing everybody
Yes,
can think of, because you
absolutely.
don't know the system.
Yeah. So you go to the second family. How did you get the second family?
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So I get a friend, and the friend had like connections.
Yeah.
She was working for like a driver. She
Yeah.
was like working for a nice family that helped her to get like different families.
Yes.
So I got to choose, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going with this family. I don't care that,
Yeah.
like, I wanted to go to Frankfurt. I wanted to go to Hessen. I had had enough of the North people
Yeah.
of
Yeah, that's
Bremen.
true. Yeah. Not, yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I don't care. So this family had older kids, and
Yeah.
the mom was Italian, though German.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a little bit open, and she was working with, the kids were in international schools.
Yeah.
So there were two grown ups, 16 and 13, 8 and 10. So
Yeah.
it was fun. So I figured out my life with a second family, and that's how I happened to, get to Frankfurt.
Okay.
Figure out, because, if I'm to tell someone out there too, if you're in a place, don't get comfortable. If
Yeah.
you're or if you're doing volunteering work or au pair, don't get comfortable,
Yeah.
because as much as these people are good and nice, you're giving them a service, and at one point your contract is going to end.
Yeah.
So getting to this family, it was amazing. It was amazing, though the issue was and the language. So we never
Also,
spoke
yeah.
any German at home. We were just in English. It was bad.
Was it an African family or an indigenous German family? Is it
Indigenous
migrant?
family, like the
Okay.
dad, the father was German, and the
Yeah.
mom was a German citizen but Italian.
Okay. Then, yeah, migrant background. Yeah. So
So it was
it's
just fun having a blast at home.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those families that really supported me, and they also helped me in regards with the old family about the threats, because the other family kept on sending me threats and
Oh,
my
no.
address, asking for my address, which was really devastating.
Yeah.
And trying to send me funny messages as that. But all in all, I ended up in a second family, and it was amazing.
Wow.
Time came as well when I feel like the second family also didn't want to let me go.
Wow. They were
And in
still
the
contacting you even when you're in Frankfurt.
yeah, they were still contacting me. I
Hey.
told them I was in Frankfurt. I got a new family, but they were like, I hope your kids that you're taking care of are
Yeah.
better than ours. I'm like, what?
Really?
Yes, that's why I'm
Instead of
saying that was an
that was an
obsession.
obsession, or even
Exactly.
crossing boundaries. I would call that crossing boundaries. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I get to Frankfurt, also it wasn't a bed of roses because I was scared of driving.
Yeah.
Someone out there, if you have a Ugandan driving permit, just know that in German you're only allowed to drive as an au pair for 6 months.
Okay. So you do have an ordinary driving license or international driving license because there's a difference.
I had both, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the international driving permit that I had made from Uganda was not gültig, was not valid
Yeah,
here.
because there are particular schools that are allowed. Because for me, when I got here, I had the international one. When you have the official international one, that is also important. You have to go in recognized schools, anerkannte Fahrschulen. For example, the AAAA, if you're in East Africa, that is the one that is accepted. You can drive for 1 year here in Germany, and of course, after 1 year, you have to make sure that by then you've done the Führerschein, the driver's license for Germany.
I think you would also have to help us out here on your platform to show us exactly, because I had both. I had the ordinary.
Yeah,
Apparently, the ordinary driving permit
yeah,
was allowed for 6 months, but the international one that I had done, they
yeah.
didn't even know it was. It felt like just a paper for them.
Yes, because there's only, for example, I know in Uganda currently one particular school that is recognized, just like the language. Anyone, if
Mm,
they were not having restrictions, for example, I have people that have gotten certificates online, but unfortunately, they are not recognized. They can speak, they are good, but it's not recognized. That's the
okay.
bureaucracy that German has. They always have this word of anerkannte. So it has to be anerkannte Schulen, anerkannte
Okay.
Urkunden. So if it's a certificate from any other school that is not on the list that is
Mhm.
recognized here, they don't accept it, which is also, I would say, the fault of most third world countries, because they know it's very easy to get a fake driver's license, They
Yeah.
want to avoid putting other people's lives in danger, sending someone, on the highway who actually has
Yeah.
a fake
True.
driver's license. Yeah.
True. Yeah, so that was the case, and had to drive. I was the family was promised
Mm-hmm.
to take me to a driving school, which
Yeah.
is actually very expensive in Germany. To
Yeah.
so when I went there, they had already an au pair who didn't know how to drive, and they
Okay.
had assigned her in a driving school, and
Yeah.
she had resigned the fact that they needed an au pair that could drive.
Yeah.
So when I come in, I'm telling them I can drive, but I need some lessons
Some
first.
lessons.
Remember, this is me who was not driven. I actually stopped in the driving school back home. I was
Yeah.
just being driven around. So
Oh
it
no.
goes back to determination.
Yes.
What do you want?
How open are you to learning and adapting?
Exactly. So the host mom helped me with the driving and all that. So I
Yeah.
had to, do the whole process for 6 months with them,
Yeah.
because after 6 months, I couldn't drive. We tried so many ways to elongate my contract,
Yeah.
but it wasn't
It wasn't possible.
possible.
Yeah.
So I knew that was my end for this contract.
Okay.
That's why I'm telling someone out there to be very sharp. Otherwise, they would just throw you out without knowing. So
That, yeah, big problem. Yeah.
in the meantime, I get to understand that, you know what? I need to find something next, because
Yeah.
au pair is coming to an end.
Yeah.
In the next year, what am I doing? What should I do? What is available? I started asking people. I was just very open and,
Yeah.
on internet, because I didn't know anything. I
Yeah.
was on internet and people that I had gotten to know around. So they helped me, and that's how I get to volunteering.
Okay. The being
Yeah.
short. Yeah.
So Efosiot, that's how I got to Efosiot. I
Yeah.
looked out. In the meantime, I'm still at the host family. Of
Oh, so
course,
they were that kind. Okay, that's nice.
They didn't know. I had not finished my contract.
Okay,
I
but you're
was
already
still
looking for means, yes.
exactly. I was already looking for
Very
means
smart. Yeah.
because it had showed me that, you know what, if these people specifically want a person that is driving
They
and
might
you
replace
only
you.
have 6 months, they've
Yeah.
tried all ways to elongate, the period of your driving permit, and it's
Yeah.
not working out, which means they don't want you here. And that
Yeah.
was the case because I overheard my host mother bringing another au pair without me knowing.
Oh gosh. Never ends.
It
Never
never ends. It
really.
never ends. So I was like, that is it. Thank God I was really proactive. So
Yeah.
that's how I get to FSYOT.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe this is a platform. Actually, after that, I was like, I'm not going to deal with kids. I need a rest from kids in Germany.
Oh, but allow me to say something also.
Yeah,
Throughout your journey, right from the start, I see something what we call a Leitfaden in Germany, or something that is, noticeable right from the beginning. You're a very resilient person, you are very proactive, and you are not just sitting and waiting for things to happen for you or to you, but you took the initiative. So, my loves, what right now? Your future, your dream. I love to say you are the sculptor of your destiny. Things are not going to happen for you. No one is going to come and save you. You really have to put in the work. And for you to be able to make it in the diaspora, to even be slightly happy, you really must make an effort.
exactly. Yeah,
And
very
you've
true.
done that really well so far.
So I was like, what? So before they even like push me out, I had already gotten a day to get out.
Wow.
So my contract had not ended,
Yeah.
but since I was lucky enough to get FOCOT
Yeah.
credit to Caritas,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got into Caritas to help out with Betreuung.
Yeah.
In Betreuung, I don't know, is it like you play with older people, play games,
So
talk to
you,
them?
because they have two different ones. There's one for kids, so you went into the alternate
Older people.
care
I couldn't
for the
deal with
adult.
kids anymore,
Okay, you got kids, yeah.
like I said.
So she went into adult care, but informally, like you're not trained or anything, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
informally. So they were very welcoming. And just to let everybody out there, like people have this propaganda, including part of my family, they
Yeah.
thought I would be segregated.
Yeah.
For the last years I've been in Germany, I have never had that in my, I don't know, maybe I protect myself so much. I don't even think about it.
No, I totally agree with you. Of course, I get those questions a lot. People who are like, yeah, I want to come to Germany, but aren't they segregative? I don't want to use the R word, I don't want
Yeah.
you to get flagged. And my answer is always, there will always be a rotten apple in every society, okay?
Even back home.
Even back home, so are we saying there are no people here who treat you like that? They are. But I've been here for almost 20 years. Thank God I've never really experienced something where I'm like, oh my goodness, I've never. Maybe I'm also having the luxury that I live in an area, especially when you live in the countryside, the, how do I put it? Niveau is not the right word, but these are mostly people that have a different mindset compared like to a big city, because in a big city you'll meet all walks of lives, people that have their own frustrations, people that are maybe unemployed, and mostly those are the people that will treat you that way, but it's because they are basically bad people, or they're
Yeah.
just frustrated, or they need
Mm,
help themselves. But
exactly.
yeah, but I wouldn't say German is not like, especially how most Africans think, because of our history, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, when I get out, they were not happy as well because I left earlier.
Yeah.
Although they didn't know because one of the host kids was my friend, she was a girl, and she was
Yeah.
like, Mommy's bringing someone else.
So they were also not transparent with you,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, since they're not transparent, I'm leaving. So
Yeah.
I gave them a date earlier. I moved out.
Yeah.
Now,
That was smart. Yeah.
guess what? I was moving out to a place that I didn't know, but I was moving out. So I moved out
Yeah.
to a
Confident.
person. I moved out to a friend's place, but I had to stay there for like a month. I'm like, let me stay there until,
Yeah.
because the next in October, that's when my FOCT was starting, and they were giving me accommodation. I was like, thank God, at least I'm somewhere. I had to have a peace of mind.
Yeah. So,
Because I mean, the au pair that was
yeah.
coming in, we had one room and he was a boy. So I
Yeah.
was like, how am I going to share a room with a boy? And they
Person.
haven't told me. I'm only getting this because of I eavesdropped
Yeah.
or one of their kids telling me.
Wow.
So I feel like families should also be very like transparent with the
Transparent.
people
Absolutely.
if they entrust you with their kids, because
The
imagine they.
most valuable asset to a parent.
Till now, I'm wondering how was she so naive to leave me in a car to drive her kids to pick them up from school when I've told her I needed lessons. From the time I left the home, I didn't get lessons, but I drove. Somehow, I drove the kids.
And that's why I'm doing this. And that's why I'm so thankful to people like you that are open to sharing these stories because, like I said, my intention is also to improve our systems. When you say something like that, I also told you with the first family, that is a case for child protection services. They were very willing to put
Exactly.
the lives of their children in danger.
In danger.
We're talking German highway. I'm telling you, I've been here for almost 20 years. I still have respect for the highway. I do drive the highway, but it's nowhere you send someone with our 2 days driving experience in Germany, you know?
Yeah. And
So,
you've actually communicated it, you've said it, but I
yeah,
haven't still understood you, which is not a good part as well. But,
no.
anyways, we moved, and yeah, I ended up doing FOCT. So, for me, arriving in Germany, I think that was FOCT. I had a
Yeah.
great time.
And speaking of FS Yacht, I'm really loving your story. I'm glad you contacted me because this is information that I can't share, like in every video. But now, as you talk, anyone who comes upon this video, if you're not a hater, you're not selfish, make sure to send it to as many people as possible. And this is why the information here could help someone that is dreaming of relocating. Like it's a big span. For example, the person or the company that employed you, Caritas, is one of the perfect employers in Germany for people who are just starting, for people who are dreaming of relocating. When we talk about Ausbildung, when we talk about FSO, they are amazing. And that is a very, very special, what do we call it in English? In German, we say Sprungbrett, like
Yeah,
a stepping stone.
exactly,
Yeah.
maybe.
So I'm loving your conversation because there's a lot of knowledge that people can benefit from your conversation and your experience.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
So, I've always wanted to get a platform to share my story because it was overwhelming. There are also some things I haven't talked about to make them brief.
Yeah.
But in the process, actually, this I have to say,
Yeah.
I was knocked down. And that's how I figured, I was
What do you
moving on
knock
the
down?
roadside,
Uh-huh.
and I was knocked down by a couple of old people who were
You got
driving.
hit by a car.
Yes, I got knocked down by a car. I got
Lord
hit.
have
No,
mercy.
I didn't have any issue, but that showed me that, you're losing your mind. Those
Yeah.
are one of the things that made me feel like, I need to leave Bremen.
So you are already struggling mentally.
Exactly, because that was not, imagine a second day and you're hit. A second day,
Wow.
and after the shock, and then you move, the family is stressing you with their child, and then you having a walk because your mind is taken, you're somewhere else and you're hit.
And you're
Of
on your
course.
own, you have no family, Oh my
Exactly.
goodness.
Exactly. You have no family because people get surprised here in Germany when you tell them you're alone. You're like, what is shocking for you? You're
Oh
like, what is
God.
shocking? And people are like, they're like, what? For them, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unglaublich. Like, they
yeah.
can't believe it.
Of course, it takes a lot of courage. I mean, when I listen to your story, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of resilience and self confidence. You are a very confident person, and confidence will take you a long way.
I think that also comes along when you believe in God and
Yeah.
trust in Him. It doesn't come
Oh,
all
I'm
by
so sorry.
yourself.
This is crazy.
So from there, let's go. Let's go along. I happened to get to Caritas.
Yeah.
It's been, it was, I think, an evolving situation for me. I
Mm-hmm.
got people that got to accept that you are black, people who
Yes.
have been to my country home. I got people like who wanted, embrace our culture.
Yeah.
So I got to express myself. In the meantime, I also had a friend from Uganda who has actually become family. We got to know ourselves from the language school, but
Yeah.
I happened to have arrived in what? In Germany before her,
Yeah.
but we still connected until we got to FOCOT.
Okay.
Yeah, so she also had au pair. She also had another story. That's also for another day. So people
Oh,
have to watch out, honestly speaking, when
yeah.
you have to be determined and know what you want and the rights and how the systems work. Because I
Yes.
feel like people are going to get advantage of you if you don't know how the systems in Germany
Yeah.
work. And you have to stand on your word and know what you want. That
And
is very
also,
important.
what I've noticed also with your journey, social capital is a non-negotiable. From
Yeah.
the time you came, you really tried to find contacts, helpful contacts. And
Mm-hmm.
someone who comes on your own, like you said, you have no family here, you have no connections, you need social
Mm,
capital, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Someone who knows who, because there are people who are willing to help me financially, who
Wow.
are in the US. That's how I'm saying it's all about God.
Yeah.
Because no one is willing to help you when they don't know you. These people didn't know me. We were
Yeah.
not friends, but they
I
were willing to
get you.
help.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, I get to Caritas. I got to, experience. I feel like that's where I even improved my language more because these elder people wanted to teach.
So
They
I would
were
say
willing to give back.
we're now moving on to the integration journey. That's where
Exactly.
integration starts from, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Go on.
And that's where I feel like I'm now in Germany when I started FSJ because
Yeah,
being an au pair was just devastating for me.
yeah,
Yeah, so when I got to Caritas, it helped me. I got a home. I was playing with these people. We played different, Mesh Egadishnish. That is something like Ludo back home.
yes, yes.
That was amazing for me. We had like the best. So yeah, we learned so much from the old people. They embraced us, me and my friend, as black people because we were the only black girls out
Mhm.
there. We were accommodated because I had to pay a little fee for my accommodation, which was okay because it was literally in the same establishment.
Yes, Caritas does offer that, even for Ausbildung, and yes. Most,
Exactly.
yeah.
So Caritas has supported me until where I am, until I had to say, you know what, I want to leave Caritas in Bensheim to Caritas in Frankfurt. Though I'm
Oh.
still in the Caritas, but they are different because there is Caritas, I think, for Catholics and Caritas for Anglicans, something of that sort.
No, Caritas Überall in Deutschland International is for Catholics, but it's
Mm,
one of the biggest church employers in the world, actually. Caritas.
mm,
So that's
mm.
Catholics, and it's everywhere in Germany. And then
Okay.
one Anglicans is called diaconie.
But why do they also put Caritas on it? Because the one that I'm with right
Yeah.
now is Caritas, but they told me for like Anglicans, like it's
Caritas.
yeah,
No, that is probably it's an affiliate. Like they have a
like
Zusammenarbeit.
a franchise or something.
Yes, but Caritas
Okay.
all under Catholic with the head office being in Freiburg. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I happen to have worked for Caritas.
Yeah.
And this one, I think it's the one that is best in Hesse in Darmstadt.
Yeah.
So they've helped me a lot to improve myself and to know that you know what you know you can be what you want to be with time.
Yeah.
Because I'm this kind of person who came from home. I was like, now what can I do? I wanted to do fashion, but when you come out here, skills work more than whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Things are a little bit different. Your degree is not going to bring any money or any to pay your bills, really.
Yeah.
So the kind of thing I wanted, I was like, maybe let me go to hotelier and work in hotels, but
That's
still the payment
yeah.
wasn't that I was interested, it wasn't enticing. So I was
Yeah.
like, why not? Let me start Ausbildung. And guess what? Me being offered Ausbildung,
Yeah.
still it was the help of where I was doing ethosiot. They are the same
Yes.
people that I stayed in to
Yeah.
do my Ausbildung. I was still accommodated.
Yeah.
And after my Ausbildung, I made a promise in my head that
Yeah.
I would work for them 1 year and then maybe relocate, because you can't stay in one place forever. Like it doesn't work like that. And you grow
Yeah.
old in one, you know,
I know.
you
Welcome
have
to
to
my
keep,
world.
exploring.
No,
So
that's amazing. Are you would you kindly tell the people? Of course, I know already which house building, but mention the house building again because again we're trying to help people out there. The name of the
okay.
building, yeah. Then
So from Efesiot, I was
yeah,
due after Efesiot, I had to change because my 1 year, the Efesiot was done for 1 year. But with some people, if you don't know exactly what you want to go to,
yeah,
sometimes they tell you you can have some more 6 months to
yeah.
add on the 1 year.
Because it also
So,
helps with your visa. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So for me, I just transitioned
yeah,
after looking in all my options. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an assistant nurse. I don't want to do that dry yarige.
yeah.
Like everyone, even my teachers still want me to do dry yarige. I don't want it.
No,
That's my what I want, because I never wanted to be a nurse
yeah.
in my life. But due to,
Circum,
change of life,
yeah,
circumstances, I chose to be an assistant nurse.
yeah,
That helped me actually right now. It's built, like, it helped me with my mental health
yeah,
as well, because I was having two patients in that moment back home
yeah.
that were very close. I lost a sister in the year that I was doing my Ausbildung. And
Oh,
then, it was
too much.
difficult.
To the same.
So, me being in the same health sector, understanding what they are doing, I was able to apply some knowledge back home.
Yeah,
So, that didn't really drain me, or, I just
yeah.
accepted and embraced, because there is also propaganda that, what, being a nurse is not the coolest, or you can do something better. But for me, I am a proud assistant nurse.
And allow me to piggyback on that. I have a video about that. I think have a video on TikTok. You know, the journey I've been on this journey now for almost 3 years, and of course you get like TikTok, suggest videos that you posted a long time ago. And I'm watching this video and I'm crying and I'm like, oh my god, because sometimes it's weird to watch yourself. But I would like to tell everyone out there, there's nothing shameful, embarrassing, degrading about being a nurse or what other people call care or care assistant. That is a very noble job. I have respect for people who do that job. I personally do every once in a month. What do you call it in English? Like volunteering. I like to go there, offer to sit like with the old people and tell them stories because I have, being of migrant background. they find that interesting. And for me, it's fulfilling to see them smile, to ask me questions, or like when I go with my kids, they like children. I find that to be a very, very noble job. I think it's because of ignorance and the disrespect and, like you said, the propaganda, how people term it on social media. I can't even use the word,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's a
you know?
stereotype.
Yeah,
It's a
but it's one of the
stereotype.
most secure forms of employment. For example, you'll
Yeah.
never be unemployed. You can even decide, okay, I'm going to get my Ausbildung, chill for the next 10 years, and you'll get a job the next day. It's a very safe option, but you're also doing
Mhm.
something fulfilling because you can feel the results when you've done your work and the old people are happy. And it's not even just the old people, we're talking about just sick people, because this Ausbildung in Germany, it's
What
not
people
just care.
forget, sorry to put you aside, what
Yeah.
people forget is that being a nurse is not only for old people, there are also
Yeah,
young people like us.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You could become sick, you could get a stroke. We have all those kind of clients. And also to create awareness, like I said, this Pflege, Altenpflege, it wasn't like that in the past. Nurses used to get a separate Ausbildung, and the care industry used to get a separate Ausbildung. Until shortly before Corona, they realized actually they get almost the same qualification. And because of the deficit in the nursing sector, it was upgraded. So if someone does the 3 years or the assistant that you've done, you're on the same level as the other medical nurses. So you can even work in a hospital. So it's a very, very safe and fulfilling option. And you can also earn really well. And when you're working for organizations like Caritas, people that have families, if you have kids, they are very, very supportive and have very good incentives that can enable you to, go on with your career and also still be able to balance family and life. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think there are also people that, are more of international.
Yeah.
Like they've seen it all. It's not like, they understand people in different, because I
Yeah.
remember there is a situation I had when it came. My mom was in a palliative
Station.
situation.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back home. But in that moment, I had not received my Aufenthaltstitel.
Yeah.
I only had fictions.
Yeah.
So I go out here and I tell my boss, I'm like, you know what, the Heimleiter, this is my situation. Can I be able to travel?
Yeah.
She's like, she can't tell, she's not in position to tell me that.
Yeah.
But she gave me someone in Caritas that was
Yeah.
handling that. I was really like, I was, I didn't expect that. So she gave me someone that handled and looked through my situation to see if I
Yeah.
was able to travel with just a fictions, because
Yeah.
there are some fiction Bescheinigungen that you can't travel
You
out
can.
of Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I reach out to the Ausländer and they tell me, you know what? That is your problem. Like, if for us, we think that you can travel, but the way they communicated to
Yeah.
me, they were like, we don't care. More like, sort of.
Yeah. More or less.
So
Have
Caritas had to
some-
help me to call their lawyer to
Yeah.
call, they had connections there, and to figure out if my Aufenthaltstitel was if my fictions
Responsibility. Yes.
was gültig to get
Yeah.
out and come back.
Yeah.
And to connect everything, I had, like I've said in the whole story, I was proactive. So
Yeah.
I had asked for that help like a week earlier. So when after that week, for some random reason,
Yeah.
my Aufenthaltstitel came out.
Wow.
So I'm like, did they do something? Like,
So let me explain that briefly. I've done
yeah.
so many videos. Whoever wants to watch them, just go to my channel, tip on the playlist that is called Relocation. So Caritas, like I told you, why it's a very good Arbeitgeber, especially for people with migrant background. They have all these Abteilungen. It is their job to offer some of these services, like the one you got. For example, if someone is here on asylum, let's say, and maybe you get a letter telling you you're supposed to leave the country tomorrow or you'll get deported. One of the places I send people is Caritas, because that is one of the Beratungsstelle. Beratungsstelle, how do you say it in English? It's one of those places that you can go to and get the support. They also have in-house lawyers that are paid to do that kind of job, or if you have to go like to court, to immigrationsbehörde and so on, they're also supposed to go with you to those offices if you can't explain yourself properly. In your case, like when you called and no one cared, they're supposed to help you make the call and get the information for you and so on and so forth. So Caritas is definitely a big one, a good one. And if someone is in the care industry like you and you started with them, even if you move to another city, I
I
would
still looked for
yeah,
Caritas.
I would highly recommend them because they also pay well, and then they also offer many incentives for you to build your career, further qualifications and trainings. So they're really
Yeah.
good. You're sharing very good information. Oh my God, I'm so excited for my people. I really hope they all
Though
they really
so in the journey of work, of course, I worked in Bensheim,
yeah
in Hessen, and in the same journey, someone should know that, the more you change states,
yeah
is the more you have to also change your meldungs, like you have
your
to
registration.
report yourself, to
Yeah,
register different things that I'm saying here.
yeah.
This is what I have to do, and blah blah blah. This is what I'm doing.
So you have to make sure you inform the migration office. You have to make sure you register in the area you're staying. That is very important. Yeah.
Yeah. But my question goes to you. It's
Yeah.
an
Oh my God.
interview, but my question goes to you.
Yeah.
Here I am
Mm-hmm.
working for Caritas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have done all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there is something called Ausländer,
Yeah.
Behörde, like
Yeah.
especially with big cities,
Yeah.
because I was in a small city and everything was going on smoothly.
But do you know why? Because there are not so many migrants.
So when I came to
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt,
Yeah.
the Ausländerbehörde is serious, because to me, I tried to reach out for a
Yeah.
permit because where I was, the Ausländerbehörde had refused, like, and the Agentur for Arbeit
Yeah.
had refused to give me a permission to
Mm.
work.
Ah, okay.
So Caritas had to do something, as I said, they had to, because for them, I think they're given permission in German to employ directly, something of the sort. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So to explain that, normally, I have done that for some clients. Normally, by law, it's not that easy, except since last year, it wasn't that easy and allowed to transition from an au pair visa to FSJ and then now to stay in Germany and do Ausbildung.
Yeah.
Okay? So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't legally accepted. So that means someone had to Begründung. You really have to give
Give a
reasons,
reason. Yeah.
yes, why they should do that. So you were very lucky, like I said. Caritas is one of the biggest, richest, strongest Arbeitgeber here in Germany. They have a
Okay.
very special status because this is a Catholic country, and they have, like you say, the connections or the means, or let's just say Catholic Church is very strong here. Had it
Yeah.
been a private employer, you would have had to first go back to Uganda. That's why you are not allowed. One. Two, they look at your salary because they want to avoid loan dumping. So for them to accept that, they have to look at how much you're going to be earning a year. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're going to be paying you peanuts and maybe a year you're going to be earning 15,000 euro, they will not accept you because they'll be like, we have also jobless people here that could do the same job.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that they look at, yes. And that's why they try to make it difficult. But you're lucky that
So
you
that's why they try to make it difficult, because I
yeah,
also changed from the Caritas where I was to the
yeah,
Caritas where I am. And the Caritas where I am, it's not simple now, because I have to register again to tell them, you know what, I'm in Frankfurt. Hey, I'm in Frankfurt. I have a job,
yeah,
and the Agentur for Arbeit
yeah,
sent me to Behode because they are not seeing my papers. So I'm like, how have I been in Germany for this long? I have gotten my certificate, studied here, and
Yeah.
before they had my papers. But now I call in Agentur for Arbeit, they're telling me, oh, we don't have your papers.
No, they do have the papers, but this is something very, very important. I hope I'll be able to, I don't know if it's possible, download this video, screenshot it, and make a few clips, because this is very, very important. Like you said yourself at the beginning, if you come to Germany and you're doing like Ausbildung or you're doing au pair, because I've had some people contact me 1 week before their visa expiring for au pair and they want miracles. Some have been lucky, some not. Or I have some who came on this agriculture visa, like working on farms, and I've been able to help them extend. But it's always preferred you first stay in one area, complete your journey, and then move. Because why do I do these videos and why am I doing all this? We have what we call migration and integration. Be very blunt, like I said, the country only cares if they know you're going to integrate. The country only cares if they know you're going to become beneficial to the system and not a social burden to us taxpayers. Let me put it that way. So, you understand?
Yeah.
They see your journey, they start getting doubts. And that's why it's important. Of course, they'll do it, but they try to make it difficult because for them it seems suspicious. And that's why I need this information to see that our systems get better, because even the people that work in these offices, they don't really understand this whole migration thing because it's not a lived experience.
Sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. What is making them get suspicious? The fact that I'm from one thing to the other, or?
Yes, because for them, like, you keep moving from Behode to Behode. When you move from one Behode, from one area, be it the child protection system or the migration system, there's a system we have that even if you just disappeared, we'll get your file in another district. Like the Bearbeiter, the person that was working on that file, will have to forward it to the next
Exactly, yeah.
so the next colleague will have to appraise it, and then the colleague that sent it will have to send it with a protocol. Protocol, that means your whole story, everything that you've been through is in that file.
Yeah.
So in your case, they look back to, oh, this person entered the country as an au pair, then she went to FSP, then she... You understand?
Yeah,
Then,
so
like I said, why I need this information, for example, people are educated, they've had their degrees, but for me, I believe for one to be able to do their job properly in these migration offices, you must have the insights of the people like you that have experienced it, because it's not a lived experience.
no.
They
No.
don't know like the deep issues. How could someone come on an au pair visa? Why is she now doing FS? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they need to know that information. They need to know that unfortunately some people come and without their own doing, they find themselves on the street. Let's put it that way. And they
Yeah.
have to find another way out. So if you're unlucky and they send your file to a Sachbearbeiter, that's what you call them, like to an officer who is not so well informed, who is not compassionate, they'll react differently. Are they within the law? No. Is it possible to get in trouble? Yes. If you're not informed, if you don't know your rights, if you don't know where to get help. So that's
Exactly.
what makes everything difficult. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're going to look for a termin, an appointment, you want to work, because if you don't work, they're going to come for you. Finance Amt is coming for you. You have to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
And you're in between, you're like, I don't have a work permit, but I have to work because I have to pay the taxes. There are no appointments, and you can't just, bump in Ausländer Behördes these days. Before we had come, we could just, show up and at least be persistent. But now they are really enclosed. You can't go in.
Yeah, you need an appointment. I know.
Exactly, because before it was an open place, but now they've extended them in a way, because I look at this situation of mine in a
Mm.
way that I have been in Hessen. Even where I came from, it was just a small place, but
Yeah,
I'm still in Hessen because Frankfurt is also in Hessen. Yeah.
of course. Yeah, and depending
So
on
if someone, I call someone and they are telling me that they don't have my file
yeah,
and this is what is happening, I am not qualified for what I'm doing. I'm like, yo, then there is a
yeah.
problem.
And there you have to be like really strict, because now, from my own experience, you
Mm,
really need that. You need thick skin. It can be very draining mentally, because for me,
exactly.
going through the
Especially
process,
when you don't have like
the
people
support.
around you.
Yes,
Exactly.
and that's why I started offering the integration services. People, especially when you migrate, everyone thinks, oh, now the life is working out. She's rich, she's earning.
It never ends.
Exactly. I have people who have been here for 10 years, and they are, when they contact me, I'm like, what were you doing the last 10 years? They never got the support they needed, you know? And that's why
Mm,
I was like, okay, how can I help these people? Not through like my official profession, but through my, this work that I do.
yeah, the
And
social work. Yeah.
yeah, and the advice that I can give you is, whenever you have contact with Behode, even like in your case, make sure it is always schriftly.
Okay.
Because if things go south, the only
Mm,
thing that counts here in Germany is evidence. No one
yeah.
is going to care if you tell them, I talked to Mrs. So and so and Frau Dings on her Dings. It's your word against theirs. But if
Yeah.
you, for example, wrote a notice and said, I need ABC as urgent as possible, I'm starting my Ausbildung here on, on 1st of January, and they don't get back to you, you still have evidence to show. Because
Mm,
the good thing about Germany, the laws protect you too.
mm, mm.
And like I said, it's unfortunate we're just human. And that's why I started doing this, because for me, much as I do my work in the public office, I think I started this journey because I just want to serve people.
Yeah, and
So, of
I
course,
think
my
it's a
job,
good thing. It's
yeah,
a
has
good cause.
limitations, because we have our own bureaucracies. But if I can help someone privately and show them that the ways that you can navigate some of these systems, it's possible. So make sure you have everything documented, you have everything written, and do not feel scared or shy to send a third email. And also change the tone. It is within your rights. If you were very nice the first time, the second time, I'm not saying be abusive, but make it very clear. Can you
Yeah,
please
you
follow
need
up?
to push hard in
Yes.
Germany. Yeah. Mm.
And if they say, oh, this office has not yet given us information, send an email to this office, give them a little background information if you have to, and you say, I would expect to get a response within latest 2 weeks. It is within your rights. So you really, unfortunately, have to put in the work. It's not always like that. Like I said, it all depends on who is working on your case. We are human, so we cannot influence how good or how not so nice someone.
Yeah.
Because I've had cases where Sachbearbeitern, the most recent case is someone who is going through a divorce, and then they ended up into a custody battle with a German husband.
Mm.
And by the time she contacted me, the situation was really, really bad, taking your children and everything. But it was because the Sachbearbeiterin already had her prejudices. And that
Mm.
is not something that the law can control, but you have a right to say, I'm not fine with this. I need support. I need you to look into that.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
sometimes they're also very like, I feel like the system is
Yeah.
not the problem, but the people in
The
the
people.
system.
Yes.
Maybe they feel like, you know what, today we feel like not working or not responding to emails. I really don't know, because it gets frustrating.
But now I'm telling you, that's why I said it is within your right to change even the tone. Anyone working in a public system as a, civil servant like myself, we are
Mm,
supposed, we have to give, like mails or correspondence priority. Of course,
mm.
if it is a situation, yeah, okay, I don't want to say that say where I work. I don't want to say where I work. But if
Mm,
like urgent, we should
mm,
answer mails or correspondence latest within 3 working days.
mm, mm,
And
mm.
of course, the work overload can be much. It shouldn't take longer than 5 working days. And that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying you're right. As you complete the mail, to request that you get a response, depending on your urgency, within the next 7 days or 2 weeks maximum.
But you know that there are also links on
Yeah,
the official web
yeah.
that are not active, that are inactive. whereby you can't find, if you're
Digital
not
card.
proactive, you
Yeah.
cannot find the right email to get to the behode. And I have lived that. I'm like, what? Like,
That's
you've put this on. How are you supposed
online.
to make me
Yeah.
believe this? Like, it's
Yeah.
on online and it's inactive. They're telling you we are not available, but someone gives you a link
Yeah.
where you are able to get an appointment. So tell me how that is working.
Yeah, Frankfurt is one, a brain punct. Two, now I'm going into much detail. Let me see if this is step share. Um, for example, we have those links, but for example, I have office days. Like the work of a public servant is not easy. Like people work in those offices. For example, I have days where we have someone that manages like all our calls, like we call it I think you'd call it like the reception in other normal companies. So
Yeah.
if it's a Wednesday, maybe I just came back from vacation, and when you come back from vacation, you have at least 100 mails plus, and you have to follow the agency. It is possible for me to tell the person that is responsible for letting calls through, I'm not taking
Mm,
any calls today because I want to complete this, for example, because that's urgent. So
mm,
unfortunately, there's a system where they can deactivate that. Is it possible for someone to abuse it? Maybe. I don't know. But in the worst case, you can always contact there's always a general telephone number for that
mm,
complete beholder, and an
mm,
email general. Worst case,
mm,
you can send them and you tell them, I would like you to give me the contact of the zuständige Sachbearbeiter, the
mhm,
person responsible for this particular case.
mm.
And then they're supposed to get to you. But always please try to write if you can. Phone calls,
Okay.
if you do call and you don't write, ask the person their name, write a protocol. I talked to Frau XYZ on the 14th of Jan at 2 p.m.,
Mm,
especially for people that have dealt, because I've had those ones that are in Azul situations, asylum situations.
mm,
Always write protocol. If you talk to someone, write the date and the time you talk to them and tell them, "Wie heißen Sie bitte? What's your name?" Write
mm,
their name down. And
mm.
that is a
That
signal
makes sense.
for these people to notice they can't play you or abuse the system.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I'm about to that because Frankfurt has become like
Frankfurt is
it's
a
a
brand new.
flag bearer of so much with that. So
Yeah.
everyone warned me, but I was like, you know what? Since I got my Aufenthaltstitel, I
You'll
was moving.
from your character and your confidence. It's unfortunate that you have to go through that, but you'll
Yeah.
manage. Yeah. We can also talk later privately, maybe more details, and then I'll help support you.
All right. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot. But I've
So
enjoyed this.
yeah, it's been very long, but I'm sure everyone is going to love it. So I'm going to ask a few questions that are important to me and where we
Okay.
do this. So we've talked about the migration journey. Amazing,
Mm,
amazing, amazing. I can't wait to see the comments. If you're watching this video right now, drop your comment, ask questions. We're going to be answering them. But this is a video you should watch to the end because it's full of information and nuggets and amazing. So for me, integration, if I asked you today from 100%, how would you rate your integration? Of course, I already have a few answers from the things you've said right now and the questions. Would you say you're integrated, yes or not? And if not, to which percentage? And what would you need to integrate?
I think right now I haven't completely integrated, but I'm still on the journey.
The journey, yeah.
Yeah, and one of those things because I'm looking at getting citizenship, but that's also
Yes.
in a process. So
You've been
I'm
here for
looking
four
at,
years.
yeah, I've been here for
Oh,
4 years. So I'm looking at, improving my language
yeah.
because as much as I've been in this here and there, I've done Ausbildung. People
Yeah.
have asked me, how are you able to do Ausbildung without the language?
Very
I'm
smart.
like, I have done it. Didn't I
Which level do you
pass?
have?
B1. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're very smart. Yeah.
I have done it. I don't
Yes.
care how, but I have done it. Because there is a time I woke up and I'm like, let me just go do a TELC exam. Like I
Yeah.
hadn't read or anything, but I'm like testing my brain
Yes.
because I feel like a language, I was getting into depression because of a language.
Wow.
So I decided to throw everything aside, and
Yeah.
I'm like, let me look at what is going forward. The
Yeah.
language can always come and follow me because I've been in Uganda for how long, but I don't speak Lunyankole. I
I,
just understand it.
yeah. Now the
We
good
have
thing
so many languages.
you've been in contact with people. I believe the best way or easiest way to learn the language is the practice, like you said. Now
Exactly.
you get to
Yeah.
talk to colleagues. You only have to be again proactive, because I have people who are like, yeah, I don't speak, but it's not good. I'm sure. I'm like, no one cares. Actually, you earn more respect if you speak your broken German than
This is how I've learned it. If you tell Germans to speak our mother tongue, they
Yeah.
cannot do it.
Yes.
So do what you can and
Absolutely.
express it. That's how you're going to learn from other people.
Yes.
So going back to your question, I feel
Yeah.
like maybe on the 50, you said 50% what? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm still on a 30% or 40.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how I grade myself, maybe to encourage myself to keep pushing harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um.
And there is this thing that I've also wanted to hit on,
Yeah.
going back to a person like me.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten people that are asking me, why aren't you getting married to, a German man so that you can get citizenship, or a citizen, a
Yeah.
German, so that you can get citizenship. I
Yeah.
sat down myself and said, hey, the stories that you've had, you're not going to be mistreated or treat. Of course, there are some people that are treated well, which
Yeah.
is on a less percentage, because
Yeah.
the more you enter into something, someone
Yeah.
is going to control you because they feel like they are helping you.
Yes.
So that is not something, unless you're very ready for it, but it's not something that you should go in because you're dying to have citizenship.
Yeah.
Like, like I want to, but it takes time, because I feel like everything that is nice or
Yeah.
something, you really need to work hard and have input in it.
That's a very good point. Oh my God. I think I'll have to invite you again, because we could do that as a dear Ruzhoff. Should I marry a German to get citizenship? That is a very, very, I'm telling you, I don't want to lie about that statistics, but another big percentage of my clients are people that are in interracial relationships. You know?
Yeah, I
So
understand.
that's not an easy ticket, and worse still if you do it just for the citizenship. And allow me tell you today that you actually don't need that. If you do fall in love, well and good. But if you do come to Germany, put in the work, integrate, you can get citizenship.
I think you're
And
more prouder when you do things by yourself than, someone trying to,
yes, and it's possible. It will not take forever. I have a video. I think I shared. One client gave me permission to share.
Mm,
Sorry, this is someone I supported. She came as an asylum seeker, and not even through the that I don't know how to put it. Okay, not
yeah, I
directly.
understand what you mean.
I supported her. She got her citizenship 6 years later,
Mm,
and she's nothing compared.
wow.
Then it's nothing compared to yours. Yours is more straightforward. So that
Yeah,
is a very good example to show you it's possible. And now I'm going
yeah,
to tell you what you need to get your citizenship without having to marry for citizenship. In your
yeah,
situation, you've already done 80% of the work.
yeah.
With your B1, that is enough to get your citizenship.
Mm.
You are now doing your Ausbildung. Once you complete your Ausbildung,
I've completed my Ausbildung.
you've completed. So,
Yeah,
unfortunately, are you working now or not yet
yeah,
working?
I'm working.
So as long as you don't become Arbeitslos, you've been here 4 years, I would start working on my papers in my fifth year, because Frankfurt, like I said, it's a bigger city, it's a brain punct, it takes longer even to get like appointments. Once you hit your fifth year here in Germany, you are still employed, start your process
Mm,
of applying for the citizenship. What you need so far, in your case, you have everything except for the Einbürgerungs test.
yeah,
You
I
are
know that source.
starting this year, they reduced the questions. When I did my Einbürgerung, I had to learn more than 360 something questions. BS, you know? Yeah, it's crazy. But now you get that book, you can even get it online. You start
Mm,
learning the questions. They'll ask you, who was the first president? When did the Mauer get broken? Such basic knowledge to show
Yeah,
that
the system.
you're interested in the country
Mm,
you're living in. Once you've done that, start your process in the fifth year, because in Frankfurt it takes longer. That's all you
mm.
need. In your case, you already have everything you need. And
Wow.
you're not living on social welfare, because if you're living on social support, they can't give you citizenship, because giving you citizenship gives you more rights. Giving you more rights means you become a bigger burden to taxpayers.
To the, yeah, to the taxpayers'
Yeah, because
money.
as a citizen, you get all
Mm,
financial support you need, you know.
mm,
So in your
mm.
case, actually, the only thing still missing is hitting the mark of the 5 years, continuing to be employed, and doing the Einbürgerungstest. That's what you can learn online, register for the exam, you're done in one day.
Okay,
So do
makes
not
sense.
ever make that mistake, because the clients I have that are struggling, and this, I think I have two videos that I shared with the permission of clients, but it's the wildest things you can't even imagine that such things happen. So please don't do that. Don't.
Exactly. And there is also this comment that I have got at work
Yeah,
that they're like, what are you doing in this job? That you don't need, like, you don't fit in this job. You're supposed to be elsewhere. And I'm thinking, like, I've been to Caritas because I've
yeah,
told you I finished my Ausbildung when
yeah,
I was in Bensheim, and
yeah,
I worked for 1 year still
yeah.
in the same place. So I've only moved to Frankfurt because I wanted to change environment, but
Environment.
still in Caritas, and I'm working. And
Yeah.
still you get like, you're not meant to be here. And I'm like, I know what I want. And
It's
people who
ignorance.
have people feel like you're supposed to be elsewhere or working as a receptionist or
Yeah.
something.
You now, my mind is going back to my work model. I was about to speak German. So someone doing your profession is actually much, much, much better off than someone working as a receptionist.
Exactly. That's why I'm there.
The security you have, we talk about the incentives. You working at Caritas, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get your 30 days ULAB. You're going to get free education, further training. Okay?
Yeah. Hmm.
Your CV, if you are to leave Caritas and go anywhere, you get a job immediately, because, like I told you, it is extremely respected.
Yeah.
Then the incentives you get as a pension. The Caritas is one of the Arbeitgeber that pays the best pension here in Germany. So your future
Hmm.
is secure. Even when you decide like to become a mom, you're going to
Hmm.
get well paid
Exactly. I know the
leave. Yeah.
Muttergeld and
The
all
health
that stuff.
insurance. If you became a
Mm,
mom, they will still pay health insurance even for your kids, you know? So it is misconceptions. That's why I tell people who are here coming from foreign countries, do not try to listen to someone's story and tell you, oh, how can you do that for me? I did this. And some people are just even trying to misguide you, but some people are also very ignorant. And that's why I say be careful of the social capital you make, because some
exactly.
people are actually not on the same level as you, respectfully,
Yeah, true.
so they don't understand your journey. Well, listening to your story, you how do I put it? You are one of the cream de la cream migrants. Respectfully, I'm also a migrant. You are one of those,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I get
Yeah,
to
I know.
interact with so many people, and I get
Mm,
disappointed and hurt, because I'm also someone with migrant background. And I want my people to succeed.
exactly. Yeah.
So for me, when someone asks me privately, but I think I've said it on video before, it sounds rude, but I stand before it. Do not make friends with people that are not going to benefit you, that are below your capacity of thinking. That's the
Very true.
way,
You
yeah.
rather have one than nothing,
Yeah,
than
that's
not
the
have
capacity
at
of not
all.
integrating. The cases I have of people who have been here for 10 years, they've had useless friends, people that have led them into situations they will never be German citizens, for example. They've committed petty crimes because they were dumb enough to listen to someone who is not made it here, and they somehow convince you, like they are telling you, you're supposed to be doing something different. And these people at one time will have to cover their shame and go back home, which is unfortunate.
Exactly. And it all goes back to, we need to be very determined and to know exactly what you want and not to
Yes.
listen to all the. Also, like you've said, the friends, honestly speaking, for the 4 years I've been here, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I just have like I can count the friends I have, just colleagues that I find at work,
Yeah,
but I haven't been in a society whereby, not in a way that I'm antisocial or
yeah,
non, but I believe that, what, better off in my peace when
yeah.
I have just two or three friends.
Yeah, because now you're concentrating on, I always tell people, do you ever ask yourself why you relocated? Can you follow that
Exactly.
data why you relocated? We all have different reasons, yeah?
There is a
Someone,
question that I have. I keep
yeah,
asking, who forced you to come here? Nobody forced you.
and you're a good example. I would say you're an economic migrant. Yeah, you came to make your life better. So imagine you come
Exactly.
here and you start getting funny friends and you waste your time. I'm very strict when it comes to that. And people are shocked. They're like, but you're also African like me. I'm like, I don't tolerate nonsense. I'm sorry. Because I want something good for you. So I'm really, really proud of you. And like I said, once again, that was a good question about marrying for a visa. Don't do that. I have a client right now. She's in Denmark, going through hell, like total hell. Someone recommended her to me. She went ranting someone on social media because the situation was really bad. And that's why I also get, some of these experience. And I'm like, we really need to try and put information out there to help people, but also
Yeah.
again, social capital, because most of these problems come from the circles that you move around. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Patricia. It's been a pleasure. I can't thank you enough. I'm so excited for my community, for the people that will get to see these videos, because that's why I started this journey to serve. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to chatting with you privately and
Yeah.
going on to, to empower people that you can also do on your journey and maybe also support you
Exactly.
on your journey to integration. And I'm
Mm.
thinking that this video is going to be very helpful in also transforming systems and making sure that maybe the people that come after you or others that have not yet even integrated at all get a
Yeah.
chance at integration. Thank you so
Thank you so much too
much.
for the platform. It's a very good cause because I didn't expect my country people or one of my country people to be out here and having a good cause. Because most of the times we laid back, we don't know who to go to. But
Yeah.
when you look at someone who is from back home and has a good position out here, it's
Mhm.
very encouraging. And you look at the person and you're like, you look up to this person,
Thank
and it's really, that's why I was pushed to be like, what, I think this is the best platform for me to share my story.
you. Oh, I'm honored. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Watching, we're definitely going to save the video here. I'll try and see if I can share it on other platforms.
Okay. It's a
For me,
little bit long.
yes, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah, I'm here to inspire, uplift, and empower you. Until next time, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.